Right, kings, gentlemen, everyone else, welcome to yet another exciting episode of Doom Pilling under the sun. And it's a beautiful sunny day, so it's a perfect occasion for doom pilling. So today we're going to be talking about the fallout from the Trump-Putin phone call yesterday. And from what I understand, the only thing that Trump and Putin agreed to was one, that they're going to have a hockey game between the Russians and the Americans, which is just completely irrelevant. I'm like, sorry, if you come from a country which thinks hockey is a big deal, sorry, it's like just not a relevant game. And the second thing they agreed to was that they should both protect Israel. And I could have told you that. I could have told you that these guys are going to agree that Israel is the highest priority of both the Russian Federation and the United States. But nobody listens to me. So, what other things have they discussed? Well, as it turns out, even the thing they said where there's a ceasefire on striking energy infrastructure, which the Russians violated immediately after, like 3 hours after the phone call was done. I think they hit a power station in the city of Slavyansk in Ukraine. And furthermore, it would be a very unbalanced ceasefire, because it would actually protect the Russians from what they fear most, and that is their destruction, the destruction of their primarily oil-based economy that the Ukrainians have been undertaking by using long-range strikes to destroy Russian oil refining and oil storage infrastructure. So it will be a very unbalanced ceasefire, and I hope that the Ukrainians don't accept it. I don't know. We're going to see. But beyond that, this whole notion of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin agreeing, negotiating for a peace between Ukraine and Russia is just asinine, especially when you see the conditions that Vladimir Putin has put forth to Donald Trump. So the conditions are: Ukraine must not mobilize, Ukraine must not receive military aid, Ukraine must not receive intelligence, must not be the recipient of intelligence sharing from the West, and reasons, just a bunch of things, which Donald Trump does not have the authority to deliver, right? And Donald Trump probably agreed to these things, but pretty soon he's going to find out that he does not have the authority to deliver on these things which he has promised to Vladimir Putin. Why do I say that Trump has probably agreed to these things? Because for various reasons documented here on this channel and by other people as well, I have come to believe that Donald Trump is fully a Russian asset, that he shares an ideological comedy with the Russians, that the Musk administration shares an ideology with the Russians, that these people are also very heavily supported financially and in terms of bot networks by the Russians, and also because Trump is a malignant narcissist. And the simple fact of the matter is that Putin fans his balls, and narcissists always side with the people who fan their balls. So it is the way it is. Just the Americans elected a 2-year-old, a toddler, to the presidency, and now the whole world will have to live with the consequences. So what's going to happen is, because the demand requires that no Western intelligence or weapons enters into Ukraine, it's going to require that not only America stop helping transferring weapons and intelligence to Ukraine, but it also that the other Western allies stop providing Western intelligence and weapons to Ukraine. And that would mean that Trump would have to compel the European allies to stop sharing weapons and intelligence with Ukraine. And this is especially going to mean putting the screws on France, on Germany, on Sweden. France in particular has been picking up a lot of the slack with regard to intelligence sharing, weapons, and there's also talks between the Ukrainian government to essentially dump Starlink after the American government signaled that they may believe in the subscription model of weapons. So we briefly discussed this on the channel, and I may have to re-record this video because I was driving through the Feral Ghoul neighborhood again, and my Geiger counter was all over the place. So what happened was Trump remotely deactivated the radar scrambling software on the Ukrainian F-16s. And then Musk started calling the foreign minister of Poland a small man when, Foreign Minister Sikorski pointed out that Poland was actually paying for Starlink, and then people started thinking, oh, wait, these fucking nutcases might actually violate their contractual obligations, start treating weapons as on a subscription model, like you have to keep, and they'll deactivate your weaponry if they decide arbitrarily that the conflict you're fighting is just not worth fighting. If a third party, the Americans, they decide that this war's gotta stop, this war's gone on for so long, it's gotta stop because, I don't know, reasons, because I've been told so by my owner in Moscow. If the Americans arbitrarily decide that your war is not worth fighting, then they're just going to deactivate your weapons. And yeah, that means that nobody in their right mind is going to buy American weapons anymore. And this includes Starlink, So there's negotiation with the French company Eutelsat, I believe, who also provides satellite internet, to essentially replace Starlink. Now that's going to be a little challenging, because while Eutelsat is better satellite internet than Starlink, they have better speeds. Because the satellites are further up in the sky, and there's fewer of them, there's not much throughput. So I don't know how Eutelsat, how the Ukrainians are gonna work that out. But just the fact that there is discussion of, we should dump Starlink because they're unreliable and switch to this French satellite internet, that's threatening. So long story short is, how is Donald Trump going to stop the French from doing that? How is going to stop Eutelsat? How he's going to stop the Germans from transferring weapons to Ukraine? How he's going to stop the Swedes, the Polish, the Lithuanians? How is he going to stop Macedonia from supplying weapons to Ukraine? Because this country, it's small, doesn't have a big army, but we have done our part, I think, in terms of transferring weapons to Ukraine. And the answer lies in the model which MAGA and the Russians have of how the West functions. The way these people see it, the Western world really is just American vassals. France doesn't have agency, Germany doesn't have agency, Sweden doesn't have agency, Lithuania definitely doesn't have agency. You ask most of these people, Lithuania shouldn't even exist as a country. It's basically Russia, right? It's not like it has a long and storied history and was at one point in its confederacy with Poland the largest state on the European continent. No, this is all just Russia, all these irrelevant little statelets, and they're going to do exactly what the Americans tell them, and now we control the American presidency. And this is not present just in the Russian worldview, but also in neo-reaction, which I have pointed out numerous times on this channel, is the ideology, the official ideology, you could say, of the Musk administration. This is what these people believe, that there's only 3 entities with agency on this planet, those being the United States, the Russian Federation, and the People's Republic of China. And this is also evident in the fact that if you read the neo-reactionary blogs, if you read Mencius Moldbug, you read Nick Land, you read Jim Donald, and a lot more people need to be reading Jim Donald, because from what I can tell, Moldbug and Land and I don't know, whatever the fuck, Bronze Age Pervert, these are the public-facing venues of discussion for neo-reaction. But James Donald's blog, this guy's some Australian professor or something, doesn't really matter who he is. This is where these people go in to have their internal debates, and you also got to be reading the comments section, which is one of the many reasons why in the neo-reactionary archives the comments sections are deleted, because it's very mask off in these comment sections. Yeah, these people don't really believe other countries have agencies. But reality gets a vote, and we are seeing right now that the European Union, the European allies, that Germany, France, Sweden, etc., 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 actually do have agency. They do have agendas which are different from the American agenda, and they're different from the Russian agenda. And everyone keeps forgetting the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians have agency. Donald Trump can put the screws on Ukraine, but ultimately Ukrainians got to decide what they're going to do, how they're going to prosecute the war, etc., etc., etc. It's not just, puppets all the way down. No, man. I mean, you actually got countries, and they're in an alliance, and America's the biggest country of the alliance, and America leads the alliance. Oh, hello. One of those dogs I love. Bre, не знаешь. Не знаешь, bre. He's cranky. Anyways, so you got this. What was I saying? So what's going to happen is Donald Trump is going to run against this reality of basically the French, the Germans, etc., the Europeans, the Japanese, the Koreans actually having agency beyond just doing what they're told by the Americans. And there he's going to have to compel them to act in the way he wants them to act in other ways, which means he's probably going to turn the screws on Europe and Ukraine economically speaking. He's already doing this whole tariffs thing, and then there's going to be retaliatory tariffs from Europe, and pretty soon we will be in the scenario which I described all the way back in the beginning of this channel, of essentially Western civilization being torn asunder, like the Roman Empire before, just splitting into Eastern West and Western West. That sounded incredibly stupid. But we're seeing it right now, and then there's going to be a tug of war over the remnants of that over some of the liminal areas. So Canada might caucus with Europe, and insofar as we consider it part of the Western civilization, Latin America is going to caucus with the United States. It's going to be very interesting. But what can I say? Kudos to Agent Krasnov. He did what no other Russian agent could do before, and that is split the greatest alliance of Western countries that has ever been seen on the planet. So, how's that for a fucking doom pill? Stay safe, folks, and cheers.